Okay, picture this. A parasite, right? A tiny stowaway from a jungle expedition, just lying dormant inside someone for almost 30 years before it decides to wake up. It sounds wild, I know, but today we're diving into a real-life medical mystery. This is the case of the traveling tapeworm, Echinococcus vogeli.
And that right there is the central question for us today. I mean, how is it even possible for a parasite, something you pick up in the wilds of South America, to just pop up and cause disease in a big European city nearly 3 decades later? Seriously, it sounds like the plot of a movie, but this is a real, documented medical case.
So to get to the bottom of this, our story actually starts not in some remote rainforest, but in a totally modern clinic in Amsterdam.
So you've got doctors in Amsterdam, and they are completely stumped. They've got this patient, a man in his 50s, with these weird masses growing in his liver. None of the usual suspects fit. But then they dig into his personal history and find this one critical clue. Up until 1984, he'd been living and working in rural Suriname, spending a lot of time on its rivers. The whole answer to this mystery wasn't in Amsterdam at all. It was hidden in an encounter from his past, an encounter with a single microscopic egg that had just been waiting for 28 years.
All right, so who is this tiny villain behind a medical drama that spans decades? Let's profile the parasite at the very center of this story, Echinococcus vogeli.
So Echinococcus vogeli, it's a specific kind of tapeworm, and you only find it in the neotropical regions, Central and South America. When it gets into humans, it causes this really nasty disease called polycystic echinocarcosis. And that name, polycystic, is super important. It literally means many cysts, and trust me, that's exactly what makes this thing so dangerous.
Now, to understand our parasite, we gotta get some basics down. First off, this isn't some simple, single-celled protozoa like an amoeba. No, this is a metazoa, a complex, multicellular animal. And it's not an ectoparasite that lives on the outside, like a flea or a tick. It's an endoparasite. That means its entire life cycle, the whole shebang, happens deep inside the bodies of its hosts. And that complexity is really the key to understanding why it's so severe.
And here's its official family tree, if you will. It's in the animal kingdom, of course. It's a type of flatworm, and more specifically, a tapeworm in the genus Echinococcus. So it has some famous or maybe infamous relatives. But as we're about to find out, Echinococcus vogeli has its own very unique and very dangerous way of doing things.
Okay, every good mystery needs an origin story, right? And for a parasite, that story is its life cycle. We really have to understand how Echinococcus vogeli makes its way through this intricate web of predator and prey in the South American jungle.
This diagram is a great look at the general playbook for a tapeworm. So you have the adult worms living in what's called a definitive host, let's say a dog. Those adults release eggs into the environment through the dog's poop. Then an intermediate host, like a sheep in this example, comes along and accidentally eats those eggs. Inside the sheep, the eggs hatch and form cysts in its organs. And the circle of life completes when the dog, the definitive host, eats the infected organs of the sheep. Okay. But for our guy, Echinococcus vogeli, the players are a little different. The natural definitive host out in the wild is the bush dog, and it hunts the intermediate hosts. These are big rodents called pacas and agoutis. But here's the absolute game changer. The domestic dog can also be a definitive host, and that's what brings this parasite out of the jungle and right to our doorstep. Humans then become accidental hosts when we ingest the microscopic eggs, maybe from contaminated soil or water. And this is why prevention is so important. Good hygiene, avoiding contact with dog feces in these areas, it's all critical. For the parasite, we're just a dead end. But for us, it's the beginning of a really devastating disease. So what exactly happens when one of those eggs makes its way into a person? Well, this is where the disease really earns its name and its destructive reputation. We're talking about the polycystic invasion. All right, so once a human ingests that egg, it hatches and releases this larval tapeworm. It's called an oncosphere. This little larva travels through the bloodstream, and more often than not, it sets up shop in the liver. But here's the thing. It doesn't just form one single cyst. Instead, it starts reproducing asexually, basically budding and branching out, creating this huge, interconnected mass of fluid-filled cysts. That is the polycystic lesion, and it just slowly but surely destroys the organ tissue around it.
And this is what makes Echinococcus vogeli so uniquely terrifying. You see, its cousin, Echinococcus granulosus, it just forms a single contained cyst that kind of expands like a balloon. Another relative, Echinococcus multilocularis, is bad news because it grows like a tumor, just infiltrating the tissue. But Echinococcus vogeli, it does both. It forms these big, fluid-filled cysts that also actively invade and destroy the surrounding organ. It's just the worst of both worlds, and that destructive combo makes it incredibly hard to treat.
Okay, so let's get back to our patient in Amsterdam. When you're dealing with a parasite this rare, and one that grows this slowly, how on earth do doctors even begin to figure out what's going on?
Well, the cases that show up in the Netherlands actually have a pretty specific profile. The main symptom is these abdominal masses, but the real giveaway, the smoking gun, is that incredibly long latency period. We're talking symptoms that show up 20 to 30 years after a person has left the area where they got infected. The Academic Medical Center in Amsterdam has actually become a specialty center for these cases, and getting treated there makes a huge difference. Their approach is usually a combination of long-term antiparasitic drugs and, if they can, really complex surgery to get those masses out. And that's a level of care that's often just not available in the remote places where the parasite is from.
So cracking the case is really a mix of good old-fashioned detective work and some seriously high-tech science. It always starts with the patient's history. Number one question, have you ever lived in Central or South America? Then, imaging, like CT scans, can show those telltale multi-chambered cysts. Blood tests can look for antibodies, which is another good clue. But for the final definitive confirmation, you need a biopsy. And from that tissue sample, doctors can either use modern genetic tools to find the parasite's specific DNA, or, in a really cool classic approach, they can literally find and measure the microscopic hooks from the worm itself.
You know, the story of this patient in Amsterdam and the tapeworm from Suriname, it's more than just a medical curiosity. It's a really powerful lesson about what health looks like in the 21st century. This is truly a parasite without borders.
And here's the big takeaway, the why this matters part. In our world today, where everything is so interconnected, a so-called rare tropical disease can pop up in a clinic literally anywhere on the planet. That decades-long latency isn't just some weird fact, it's a massive diagnostic challenge. It means a doctor in, say, Amsterdam, has to consider an exposure that happened on a totally different continent and what feels like another lifetime for the patient. A person's travel history has never been more important.
And that really leaves us with a final, pretty sobering thought, doesn't it? I mean, Echinococcus vogeli was once considered this obscure parasite that only affected wild animals. Now it's an imported disease showing up in Europe. It really makes you wonder, what other rare diseases out there are just one plane ride away from becoming the next big global health challenge?
So, we compiled all the information for this explainer using a Gemini deep search and the CDC's excellent parasitology website. If you want to dig in even deeper, and I really recommend it, you can find a detailed list of all our sources in the linked Notebook LM document.
Hey, if you found this medical mystery as fascinating as I did, do us a favor and subscribe to the channel for more explainers like this one. We'd also genuinely love to hear your thoughts on this case, so please drop them in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching.